Howdy folks, and welcome back to World of Warships with Rear Admiral Jingles. Now don't panic, I know this looks like an aircraft carrier replay, but it really mostly isn't an aircraft carrier replay. You can even tell by the name of the player concerned, definitely not a CV mate. He's doing this for the lols and the memes. We're not going to be repeating that name all day though, so we're going to call him Dave for the rest of this video, because hey, if it's funny once, it's funny every time. Now, the more cynical amongst you may already have some idea of what's coming, because this isn't the first time I've shown this kind of game. Although, today's battle is different. Mostly down to degrees of scale. You may have seen something similar to what you're about to see, but you've definitely never seen it on this kind of scale. Dave here is taking the secondary build Graf Zepellin to a whole new level. And he's doing it with the assistance of two division mates, who share suspiciously similar names. It's usually an indication that somebody's multi-boxing, but hey, can't prove anything, and I'm not here to judge. So he's already gotten himself the exemplary reconnaissance talent activation, which tells us that he's using Gunter Lutjens as his captain. And the exemplary reconnaissance skill is not immediately useful. You can earn it multiple times in a battle, which is useful. And how it works is every time you get 3 spotted ribbons, it triggers a heal on board your ship. Just your ship, not your aircraft, so he's on full health. It's completely wasted at the moment, and it's not a very big heal. It restores 300 hit points per second per tier of the ship. So Graf Zeppelin's a tier 8 carrier, he gets 300 hit points per second for 8 seconds. Dave's only really using his aircraft here for, well, he doesn't have anything better to do while he gets into secondary gun battery range, and also the team could use the spotting. Plus, his ship is now actually spotted by an enemy team who can't believe what they're seeing and are starting to take full advantage of a visible aircraft carrier. What kind of idiot is this? In the enemy carrier, they're all thinking. Quick, shoot him while you can. So, if Dave can get a couple more spotted ribbons, he can get another one of those exemplary reconnaissance talents activated and start to heal some of the damage that he's going to be taking while he gets the ship into position. But while getting an extra couple of spotting ribbons and triggering the talent with the small heal that goes with it is definitely going to help, and he's not going to turn it down when it happens, he's not relying on that relatively small trickle heal to keep him in one piece. And there it goes, he's managed to trigger it again. And you can see that it is a very, very small heal. Better than no heal, of course, but it's not what's going to keep him alive. No, what's going to keep him alive are the 2 destroyers that he's divisioned up with. Or more specifically, the smoke screens of the 2 destroyers that he's divisioned up with. The Lo Yang goes first, and right in the nick of time, as he loses a couple of huge chunks of health from the shells fired by the 2 enemy Albemarles and the enemy Nagato up ahead. But now, safe inside the Lo Yang's smoke screen, he is undetected, and he's almost within secondary gun battery range of his first victim. By default, the secondary gun batteries on the Graf Zeppelin have a range of 6.5 kilometers, but if you pile all of your captain skills into secondary gun battery talents, and Dave has, and if you equip the ship with equipment modules that enhance and extend the performance and range of your secondary gun batteries, and Dave has, you can push the range of these guns up to 9.4 kilometers. Now that's nothing, of course, compared to the secondary gun battery range that you can get on a Tirpitz or a Bismarck or a Frederick the Great or a Grosser Kurfürst, but 9.4 kilometers is still pretty damn good. And the secondary gun batteries on the Graf Zeppelin consist of 12 105mm and 16 150mm guns. And of course these are German guns, so they benefit from increased high explosive armour penetration. If you were to take the IFHE skill as well, and I suspect that Dave has, those weedy little 105mm guns will actually penetrate 32mm of battleship armour. and the 150mm guns will penetrate 47mm of armour. Of course, taking that skill wrecks the fire chance down to 2% for the 105mm guns and only something like 4% for the 150mm guns, but you're not really relying on fires here. No, you're relying on the damage that these guns are going to do. And with Gunter Lutjens as the captain, and now that Dave has already scored, well, he's already scored more than 200 secondary gun battery hits, but after scoring just 100, yet another talent activates. The secondary armament expertise talent. The 105mm guns were firing every 2.9 seconds, and the 150mm guns were firing every 6.4 seconds, and with the activation of this talent, they're now firing 15% faster. And the good thing about this, well, there are many good things about this, but the really good thing about this is you don't get detected when you're inside a smoke screen and your secondary gun batteries are firing. That smoke visibility detection penalty only applies when your main gun batteries are firing. And the Graf Zepellin doesn't have any main gun batteries. So at this point, the only way that Dave is going to be detected while in smoke and firing his guns is if an enemy ship gets to within 2 kilometers, which is the minimum assured detectability range, or somebody hydros or radars him. Of course, he's going to be vulnerable to torpedoes fired into the smokescreen. He doesn't have hydro of his own, but he's divisioned up with a low Yang who does. I actually find his choice of destroyer division mates a little, well, there's good things and bad things about divisioning up with a Sims and a low Yang. For a start, the Sims is tier 7, not tier 8, but he didn't bring the Sims along for his firepower, he brought him along for his smokescreen. And the Sims' smokescreen has just expired. Time to get moving, as the low Yang lays down a second smoke. Oh, and that could have been very, very nasty, but got away with it. A little sloppy, but got away with it. Actually, I'm wondering what kind of captain builds and consumables the 2 destroyers have as well, because going with ships that have the American smokescreen generator is an obvious choice, hence the Sims, even though it is only tier 7. Because the low Yang also, because it's basically a Benson, gets that American smokescreen generator, which lasts 30 seconds, or deploys smoke for 30 seconds, which allows you to cover reasonable stretches of ocean on the move while still being hidden by the smoke. But the smoke lasts for just over 2 minutes, or 124 seconds to be precise. The thing is, the reload on the smokescreen generator is about 160 seconds if you're using a premium smoke consumable, so I suspect that the captains of those 2 destroyers have invested heavily in skills and flags that reduce the reload time of your onboard consumables, because they're cutting it awfully fine getting continuous smokescreen coverage otherwise. Still curious as to why it's a Sims and not a Benson, although it doesn't really matter, because the Benson doesn't get hydro anyway, and its smokescreen generator lasts exactly as long and offers exactly as much coverage as the Sims does. So I guess it doesn't really matter. He's got the destroyers along for their smokescreen coverage, not for their firepower. A pair of low Yangs would have been perfect for the double American smoke and the double hydro, and what the hell is the Gano... Oh, it's a Genizer now. Yes. He's just the Genizer now, doing Genizer now things and dying because he tried to get close enough to use his torpedoes, because as we know, Genizer now, and to a lesser degree Scharnhorst captains, are all just frustrated destroyer players. The problem there, of course, was the Genizer now was the one doing the spotting, and for a couple of seconds there they had no visibility of any enemy targets. But that's not a problem when you're in an aircraft carrier. Just launch some aircraft and hey presto, plenty of enemy ships visible to be shot at. That, by the way, was the High Caliber Award. With over 150,000 damage done, and very little of it from his rockets, bombs and torpedoes. You're basically looking at, with 180,000 damage done, probably 150,000 of that is from his secondary gun batteries. And now he's really only using his aircraft for spotting. I mean, he's going to use them to do some damage while they're up, but he doesn't have to stop firing his secondaries while he's attacking with his aircraft. That's the beauty of the secondary gun batteries. They fire and forget. Well, you forget about them and they keep firing. Cutting it very, very close with the overlapping smokes there. You know, I think the most remarkable thing here is that with over 1,000 secondary gun battery hits, he still hasn't got a close quarters expert award. I mean, he hasn't... Oh, okay, he's got a kill, but it wasn't the secondaries. I mean, it was, but it wasn't. It was the fires set by the secondaries. So that doesn't actually count. Let's see if he can wreck that Shiratsu. I mean, he should be able to. Well inside secondary range. Spotted. He's going to have to get a shift on to avoid those torpedoes. And he can't go too quickly. There it is. Close quarters expert award. He managed to kill the Shiratsu with direct gunfire from the secondary gun batteries. So Dave now finally has a close quarters expert award to go with his Confederate and high caliber, and now has over 230,000 damage done. And look at how close this Sinop is, and you can't see him because he's not within 2 kilometers. Oh lordy, lordy, lordy! He's going to take one of those torpedoes. Oh, did you see that? Did you see that? I'm going to rewind and zoom in. Watch this. Watch this. Watch how close that torpedo gets. Oh, and they've got the Sinop. Of course, now he needs to get some aircraft up just to get eyes on enemy targets. No shortage of enemy targets, by the way. The team are losing pretty badly. I wonder if whoever launched those torpedoes, I wonder if they were following, you know, if they were using the weapon camera to follow the torpedoes in so they could see exactly how close they came to finishing Dave off. I hope so. Because that would be funny. Oh man, that was glorious. Oh, another kill. Fantastic. Who knows? It might even be enough. I mean, he's done 270,000 damage. He's got high caliber, Confederate, more aircraft aloft for more spotting, but those torpedoes are probably going to kill the Sims. Torpedoes fired by the Graf Zepellin that Dave just killed. Well, he was within 8 kilometers. We should have been expecting them. Now can he get the Ognavoy? And how long is this smokescreen going to... Ooh, whose smokescreen was that? Was that the Sims smokescreen? Or was it the Low Yang's? Because if it was the Low Yang's smokescreen, and there's no Sims around to lay a fresh one, but wait, no, that's a fresh smoke. And he's got the Ognavoy, another close quarters expert award. The good news is, the smokescreen that just died belonged to the Sims, so he now has a fresh smokescreen from the Low Yang. But once that fresh smoke expires, he's going to have to wait a couple of minutes before he gets another one, assuming that the Low Yang even has further charges of his smoke generator. And there's the Air Defense Expert Award. Torpedoes dropped by the Lexington there, and he is going to eat one of them. But airdrop torpedo, not a large amount of damage. But why is he leaving the smoke? Well, I suspect he's leaving the smoke because it hasn't really been dropped in a particularly useful position. There's nothing within secondary gun battery range for him to shoot at, and it looked like he was thinking about manoeuvring behind the island ahead of him in order to get some solid cover and actually start using his aircraft for the first serious time in this game. But even though you can't see it right now as he lines up his torpedo bombers on the enemy Lexington, he's actually had a change of plan, and he's just reversing into the smoke because, oh look, the Lexington is actually sailing to inside secondary gun battery range anyway, as long as Dave reverses. So Dave is just barely clinging to life here. I mean, he has no health left. But I suspect he's probably going to win the fight against the Lexington anyway. Look at those secondaries go. Launching more aircraft. TA-152s. Curious choice for carrier-borne dive and torpedo bombers in the German Navy, because the TA-152 was a high-altitude interceptor designed by the legendary German aircraft designer Kurt Tank, the guy responsible for the Focke-Wulf 190, and it was designed as a high-altitude interceptor to fight the US Army Air Force's massed daylight bomber raids. But here in World of Warships, a high-altitude interceptor is being pressed into service as a naval dive and torpedo bomber. Curious choice, because in reality the Luftwaffe was overwhelmingly a tactical air force, an air force designed around one purpose, supporting the army. And they had some fairly famous dive bombers. the Ju-87 Stuka, for example, which is even modelled in-game and makes several appearances in the Dunkirk operation. But instead of using an actual German dive bomber, which they have modelled in-game to use as a German dive bomber, they've modelled a completely new high-altitude interceptor to use as a naval dive bomber instead. Curious choice, but it is what it is. And what it is, unfortunately for Dave, is a defeat, because the enemy team reached 1,000 points. So despite that Herculean effort, 330,000 damage done. 5 kills, Kraken unleashed. Not one of those kills with his aircraft, by the way. And it's just not enough, is it? Of that 330,000 damage, less than 50,000 was from his aircraft. The rest was all his secondary gun batteries. 244,000 damage from secondaries, with over 1,500 secondary gun battery hits. And in case you're wondering, yes, that is in fact a world record. In fact, it's 2 world records for number of secondary hits and damage done by secondary hits. Dave, or I may as well give you a proper name, definitely knock. Why knock, not not? Not an important question, but definitely knock a CV main. Damn, son. Well done. And, although credit has to go to your 2 compatriots in the destroyers, the Lo Yang and the Sims, without whose assistance there's no way you would have been able to pull that off. But congratulations for gaming the system. A truly astonishing example of, well, let's not call it exploiting. Let's call it ingenuity, for a truly world-shattering result in the Graf Zepellin. So, well done, congratulations. Everybody else, I hope you enjoyed it, and as always, stay safe, take care, and I'll catch you next time.